All right, and then we are live on YouTube now too, so I think if you guys are ready to start, we should be good to start.
What about Richard?
I don't see Richard. The phone number that I was given isn't the other caller.
Okay, let me call Richard just to make sure. His number is it's 335-2425. Richard, are you dialing in?
I have been listening and I can hear everything you guys are saying.
Okay,
And I hit the *6 and tried to get in and nothing happened, but I'm hearing all the conversation that you're in.
okay, so you can hear us, but you can't, when you hit *6, you can't get in. What number are you using to dial in yourself?
No, my landline.
Okay, all right. All right, let me tell,
Hey, Kevin,
let
can you
me
hold
tell
with
them
that?
landline. Okay, let me give them, okay, and then hopefully that'll get you through. Okay, all right, okay, bye.
All right, I'll unmute
Okay,
the other
he's
phone
there.
caller.
Yeah, his home phone 762-2411.
Yep, got it.
Okay, he said he
All
was
right.
dialing the *6, but he can hear everybody, but he can't get through.
All right, Richard, if you hit *6 now, you should be able to talk.
Okay,
There you are.
Richard?
Hi, Richard, we hear you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was hearing everything from the start of the meeting, but I just couldn't get in.
okay, good. Well, I'm glad we are all together now. Thanks for everybody joining us. And I apologize to the appellant for the slight delay here in getting started. This is our first Zoom meeting as a group, and I appreciate your patience with us as we're going through this meeting together. And we hope for it to go as smooth as possible. All right, so we'll get started now. This meeting is called to order. A motion is in order to accept the minutes.
You want to do roll first?
Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, meeting is called to order. Secretary, please call roll.
Odette?
Here.
Jakubczyk?
Present.
Henny?
Here.
Yerke?
Here.
Wagner?
Here.
Kang? Kang? Nope, I can't hear you, but I see you. Okay. Gregoric?
Here. Okay, now a motion is in order to accept the minutes of case number 200001. Appellant name was Michael Faber on behalf of Robert P. Ray III and Carrie A. Ray for the property at 9759 South 13th Street. Can we have a
This is Larry.
motion?
I move we
13.
approve the minutes.
No, I'd like to
Okay.
make a correction to it.
Oh, a correction.
Okay,
On page 12, just above the last paragraph on page 12, the last sentence of the paragraph above says they just take it over a period of time. Average weighting is spelled W-A-I-T-I-N-G. It should be waiting, W-E-I-G-H-T-I-N-G.
Darn spell check. Okay.
okay, good catch, Larry. Okay, we'll make that correction, and a motion is in order to accept those minutes with that correction.
I make a motion to approve those minutes as corrected.
Yerke seconds.
Okay, first by Stacy, second by Richard. Secretary, please call roll.
Odette?
Aye.
Jakubczyk?
Aye.
Henny,
Aye.
Yerke,
Aye.
Grigoric.
Aye. Now we need a motion in order to accept case number 200002. The appellant name Michael Faber on behalf of Robert P. Wraith III and Carrie A. Ray. And this is for the property at 9773 South 13th Street.
No, I think isn't that Lucia?
Well, these are the two cases.
Hold on. Okay, yep, sorry.
Okay. Okay, so a motion is in order to accept those minutes.
I make a
I'll move
motion-
by Jakubczyk.
Okay.
Yerke,
first-
second.
Okay, first by Dan, second by Richard. Secretary, please call roll.
Odette.
Aye.
Jakubczyk,
Aye.
Henny,
Aye.
Yerke,
Aye.
Grigoric.
Aye. Okay. Okay, we will now hear case number 200003. The appellant named Ronald and Janika Henich, property at 3663 East Garden Place, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154, tax key number 912-9966-003. Secretary, please read the appeal into the record.
City of Oak Creek, notice of public hearing before the Board of Zoning Appeals. A public hearing for case 20-0003 will be held on Monday, September 21st, 2020 at 7 p.m. The meeting will be held via video conference. The appellant is Ronald and Janika Hennock, 3663 East Garden Place, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154. Tax key number 912-9966-003. Property location is 3663 East Garden Place. To request a variance of Oak Creek Municipal Code Section 17.0307 F1 and 17.0903A. Municipal Code Section 17.0307 F1 states, regarding the RS3 zoning district, there shall be a minimum front setback of 30 feet from the street right-of-way. Municipal Code Section 17.0903A states, regarding non-conforming structures on a conforming or non-conforming lot, additions and enlargements to existing non-conforming structures are permitted and shall conform with the established building setback lines along streets and the yard, height, parking, loading, and access provisions of this chapter. If granted, the variance would allow the applicant to construct a 20-foot by 18-foot 9-inch addition to the front of their home with a front setback of 23.78 feet. The zoning of the property is RS3, single-family residential. All interested persons wishing to be heard are invited to participate via video conference. Dated the second day of September 2020, Board of Zoning Appeals, City of Oak Creek, Wisconsin, signed by Randy Grigoric, Chairman.
Okay, this hearing will be held under the rules and procedures adopted by the Board of Zoning Appeals. Persons giving testimony shall give their name and address and be sworn in by the Vice Chairman. After the appellant's testimony, the letter of denial will then be read into the record. We will then hear from those in favor and those in opposition. After all testimony is heard and the public hearing closed, the board will then deliberate for the purpose of making a decision. And now, Robert and Janika, can you state your name and address and be sworn in by our vice chair, Dan?
Janica Hennock at 366 Garden Place, Oak Creek, Wisconsin.
Can they hear me? Hello?
Okay, yeah, we hear you, Dan.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me? Do you swear to swell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Proceed.
Okay, yes, please proceed with stating for the reasons as you are requesting this variance.
The reason is currently our living room is about 9 by 19 feet, which we can comfortably seat 4 people. And it doesn't allow for us to have family gatherings. As our kids get older, we'd like to have more space in the house to have them and their friends over so we can keep them safe and, you know, get to know their parents and have their parents over. And just, we would like to be able to spend more time at home with our families, our kids and their friends. We've spent a great deal of time and effort improving the exterior of the home, which allows for us to do that in the summertime, but we don't have room to be able to host anybody inside the house for the rest of the year.
Okay. Is that the extent of your testimony?
Well, currently the home, the addition that we're bringing forth to do doesn't.
No, I have to swear this gentleman in.
Okay, sorry.
I apologize.
Yeah. Okay, give your name and address, please.
Ronald Hennock, 3663 East Garden Place, 53.
Okay. Okay, raise your right hand, repeat after me, or give me your answer. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Proceed.
Currently the front of the house does exceed the limitations that we encroached the easement. We're not exceeding that now. We're actually setting it back 2 feet from where it currently is. So the obstruction on both sides, there isn't going to be one. And I guess that's the point that I want to make, is that we're not moving the home any further than what the existing home is currently.
Okay. Now, is that the extent of your testimony, Ronald?
I believe so.
Okay, because you'll be able to state more details as we go on, because now we're going to open up to questions by the board members. So if you can answer their questions now, and that'll help us further with your request.
Okay.
Any board members at this time, do you have any questions for Ronald and Janica?
I have one if nobody else is going to ask. Well, how many people are we talking about total?
Well, currently we have, it would be me, my wife, and our 2 daughters. But our living room is actually our dining room as well, because it is a 3-bedroom home.
Well, currently
Well,
it's
to your 2 daughters, your 2 daughters and their family, or just your 2 daughters, or
no,
or
just our 2 daughters. They're 13 and 11.
Okay, then they don't have any family of their own.
No.
Oh, no, thank goodness.
Oh, hey, live it up, because they get old enough that pretty soon you're going to have a whole house full.
Well, that's what we hope to. You know, we've been living in Oak Creek our entire professional career, and we want to stay here for a long time and have our kids grow up and bring their families over, and we want to be able to keep here.
All right, now, I do have a question for you. Now, how long have you lived in the house? Because it looks to me like this house, with the way it was set up, you were already not within the requirements and the 30 feet. So the house was grandfathered in as it was built. So how long have you lived in this house?
I have lived there for 17 years, but
Okay,
at the time it was not with my wife or my 2 daughters.
okay. And I noticed that you've made some improvements on the house. I noticed changes in the siding, et cetera, from what it was, and also you added on a porch on the front.
Yes.
Okay, so you've done this during the time that you have been in the house, or was that was like?
That was
Within the last 6 years.
within the last 6 years.
Okay, and notice you also put in a concrete drive?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Did you have to, just curious, when you did the front porch, did you have to get a permit for that at the time? I don't know if.
Yes, we pulled a permit for
Okay.
that because it had to be on a foundation, which it's on piers.
Okay, all right. Did you run into any issues with the building of the porch at that point, or was that porch built was it 30 feet from the?
We ran into no problems at all. Nothing.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
And that too is recessed back
Right.
a
Yeah.
few feet as well from the face of the house, just like what the proposed addition would be.
Okay. All right, because I noticed that the house, the original house setup, it's not within the 30 feet, so that was grandfathered in, and you're basically asking for the construction of the living area to be done within the limits of the current construction. It's 2 feet south. I noticed in your presentation, 2 feet extra from where the original house is encroaching the requirement, 30-foot requirement.
Well, it's 2 feet minus
Right.
what the current is. Yes.
Right. Yeah. All right. Is there any other board members that would like to ask some questions?
Yeah, this is Larry. I would.
Okay, Larry.
Is Lorraine there?
Are you
Hello?
asking for Lori?
Oh, Lori, yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. What can I help you with?
Well, when I drove past the property, I noticed that several other houses on that side of the street, the south side, it looks like about 1/3 of them are non-conforming, that they're closer than 30 feet. I was just wondering if.
Okay, Lori, before you answer, we're going to need to swear you in.
That is true.
Okay.
Okay. State your name and address, please.
Lori Miller, 558 North 63rd Street, Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, 53213.
Please raise your right hand and answer, do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Continue.
Yes, I believe on that street, there are several homes that have been grandfathered in that are right around the same distance from the road as the 3663's Garden Place property. It appears like most of them are that same style home too, so.
Okay, because I was just wondering, it looks like the ordinance was came into play after some of these homes were existing already.
Correct.
There's a lot of-
And we also believe too that that at one point was, considered really out in the county. Those homes were created before the city of Oak Creek was created.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Lori. No, I do have another question. I noticed on the survey that was provided with and this could be for you, Lori, I noticed the survey actually mentioned that the distance was 23.98, but on the letter that went out, I know it's minimal, but just to get it properly reflected, it says 23.78. So I take it we should be noting that the actual setback is 23.98.
It's actually 23.78.
Am I correct?
It's, there was some math done incorrectly on the application, but when we started
Okay.
doing the math compared to what the plans were, it was 23.78.
Okay, good. Because I noticed I noticed it's just the discrepancy. I thought it would be worth mentioning just to make sure that we have it right.
Sure.
Thank you.
And also just for
Okay, is there-
anyone watching, I do
any-
have the Plata survey as shared on my screen that Randy is referencing.
Yeah. Right, thank you for putting that out there. Okay, any other board members have questions for the appellant?
Mr. Chair,
At this
before you go on,
time,
it looks like
because
Richard may have muted
We'll
himself.
be able to ask more questions as we go further.
Mr. Chair, it looks like Richard may have muted
Okay,
himself.
Richard
So-
has-
Yep, so if you hit *6, Richard, you should be able to unmute yourself in case you have a question.
Okay, thanks a lot for catching that.
Yep. All right, there you are,
Okay.
Richard. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question on that porch. Was that porch subject to setbacks? The one that was built, it was set back a couple feet from the house, the same as this proposed addition?
Yes, it should have been.
All right. And there was no record of anything
I did not.
being done on the porch as far as a variance requirement?
I did not see any record of the permit approved on through BSNA, but it could have been archived.
All right.
Okay. And Ronald, you mentioned that was actually when you were having that constructed, that was taken care of at that time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
I have a question, Larry. Larry, I have a question.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah,
Steve.
go ahead.
my question is in pertaining to that porch. How far from the road is that porch? Does it meet the 30-foot setback requirement? Or is it closer to the road?
It's further away from the road than
So it's-
the furthest north part of the house. It's further away.
So it's more than 30 feet?
So it's I
No.
can't tell by the survey.
This is Richard.
Hi, Richard.
If you look at the drawing of the home, the plan where he has like the blueprint of the home,
Right.
you'll see that the setback on the porch, I think, is a little bit less than the proposed setback of the new addition. Therefore, the porch was actually poured closer to the road than the wall of the existing or of the proposed addition. but it's definitely not, it's not closer. It's closer to the road, so the new proposed addition, I think, is a little more. Although there's no dimension that shows exactly how far the patio or front porch is from the road. If you look at the drawing, you'll see that it's set back slightly less than the proposed addition, which puts the porch closer to the road than the addition.
And that would be my question. If the porch, is the porch conforming use now or legal non-conforming? Because if it was just put on, it should have been at least 30 foot back. And yet they did not come before the Board of Zoning Appeals if it's closer than 30 feet. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Just so everybody also is aware, I did do a share screen to show everybody visually what it looks like via aerial and
Yes.
proximity of that porch in question to the road.
But the edge of the porch, to me, I mean, my picture is very small because I'm using my phone. But that picture to me looks like the northern edge could be closer than 30 feet to the road.
Right.
Am I seeing that correctly?
Yes, it's Richard.
And so if it's closer than 30 feet, but it's an addition in the last couple years, why did the city not make that porch conform, but now wants this addition to conform?
Well, that's what question I brought up with Ronald earlier, Stacy. I asked if that was, they
Right,
applied
right.
for a permit. and
Right, but
they-
yes, but that's why I asked. There's nothing
I
on
mean,
here that shows how
Yeah.
close to the road the porch actually is. And yet it is an additional, it's an addition to a legal non-conforming home that by our
Mhm.
very codes should have been built to conform.
Mhm.
And yet, in all appearances, it looks like it's closer than 30 feet to the road. And so
Right.
therefore, it doesn't conform.
Right, and that's what I brought up earlier, saying that that porch was put on. And then Ronald, I believe you said that was put on within the last 6 years, did you say?
Correct. Yeah, because the porch was actually on the front of the house prior to
Okay.
prior to putting it on the east side of the home.
Okay,
Right. But does the edge of the porch come to the front of the house still?
No, it does not.
Do you know about how far back from the front of the house it?
I would
does?
say anywhere from 2 feet to 3 feet.
Okay,
I'm not 100% sure.
but that's
so-
okay. It's not 8 or 9 feet.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so therefore the porch is non-conforming to our current codes, even though it's technically a new addition to a home. And by our very codes, which we're trying to hold you to now, it's a legal non-conforming home, and your new porch should have conformed to the current codes, but they did not hold you to that 6 years ago.
Correct.
I think I can answer that.
Okay,
Because of the fact it didn't go beyond the existing non-conforming setback, that it was considered to be in compliance, that it wasn't making the site more non-conforming because the site was further back than the original existing home.
okay, so that by using that argument, then by looking at the drawing, the addition they're proposing also sits behind the current setback and therefore will not
Right.
make it.
Now with that said, when I first saw the proposal, I myself first thought was, well, it's not making the home more non-conforming.
right,
That that, yes, the addition, there is a section of code that was cited in the letter that stated that, you know, all additions, even if you have a non-conforming structure, must abide by the current code. And so that's why we're here today. 5 years ago, the interpretation different in the fact that staff took the approach that if you didn't make it more non-conforming by making it closer than what the existing was, we would be okay with it. Not saying that that was correct interpretation at the time, but that was what the interpretation that was conducted and allowed that permit to go through without having to request the Board of Zoning Appeals variance. So technically, probably should have went for a variance, but it didn't happen because of the fact that it didn't get closer to the road than the existing house.
Well, aren't we penalizing them for asking for this then? I mean, the city made a
mistake
on
5
its
years.
own.
Yeah, it made a mistake 5 years ago, and therefore we would never tell them they would have to take that down to any extent. But you know, the code is being properly applied. This is why they went to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Now, my thought was when I was looking at the reasons for granting a variance, and I guess I'm going to go off on my little tangent unless we should wait till deliberation for it, is which I think I will actually wait for before I make my comments about how this variance request goes to meets or not meets the criteria. But I'll wait till we get to the deliberation stage. But at this point, yes, guys, you were probably correct in that, you know, to have to do it now is actually an interpretation that using the section of code that Lori brought up that required them to come to the BOZA. So that's why we're here now. Should they come back then? Yes, but at that time, staff didn't make them do that.
Okay, Peter, thanks for bringing that additional clarification in there. That definitely helps. Okay, Stacy, any other questions?
Nope, that answered my question.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Stacy. Any other board members have questions, or should we move on to the secretary reading the letter of denial into the record? No other questions? Okay. Secretary, can you please read the letter of denial into the record at this time?
Dated July 13th, 2020, Ron and Janika Hinnock, 3663 East Garden Place, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154, regarding a building permit application. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Hinnock, I recently began to review your building permit application for your addition. I am unable to approve your building permit for the following reason. The building permit indicates that the front setback is 21.98 feet. According to section 17.0307 F1 regarding the RS3 zoning district, there shall be a minimum front setback of 30 feet from the street right of way. We recognize that the existing structure is non-conforming. However, according to section 17.0903, non-conforming structures on a conforming or non-conforming lot, additions and enlargements to existing non-conforming structures are permitted and shall conform with the established building setback lines along streets and the yard, height, parking, loading, and access provisions of this chapter. Consider this letter as an official letter of denial. If you wish to appeal staff's decision, you may apply for a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals within 30 days of this letter. Appeal the decision, complete an appeal application, and return it to the city clerk's office along with a copy of this letter and a fee in the amount of $250. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me and I will be happy to assist you through the process. Sincerely, Lori Miller, Zoning Administrator, Planner.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Randy. I also want to let you know, just at any point, that we do have a neighbor that would like to speak regarding this proposal. So just put that on your radar.
Okay, thanks, because that's the next thing that I'll have to ask. Is there Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in favor? And I got to say this 3 times. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone else here wishing? to
Randy,
speak
we don't exactly know what the position of the person who is calling.
Okay,
So I
okay.
apologize for not knowing.
Oh, okay. All right. Is there anyone else out there right now that would like to speak at this time?
All right, we did have one person sign up. I am going to allow him to speak.
Okay,
All right, Thomas, you can speak. You'll have to unmute yourself, and then we'll need your name and address for the record and to be sworn in as well.
okay.
All right, Thomas, are you there? It doesn't look like he is unmuting himself,
Okay,
so we should be able to continue on.
Does he know to hit *6?
Yep, he's actually on Zoom, so I actually was prompting him to unmute himself, and he did not accept
Got
that.
it.
oh, okay, all right. Thank you. So I mentioned in favor. Now I'm going to say, is there anyone here wishing to speak in opposition? Is there anyone here wishing to speak in opposition? Is there anyone on this call wishing, on this meeting call, wishing to speak in opposition? Does Thomas have anything to say?
Nope,
Um,
nobody raised their hand and nobody prompted anyone in the Q&A or anything to chat, so you should be good to move on.
Okay. I do have a question, Lori. I noticed, in the letter of denial, it said 21.98, which is the actual house setback,
Yeah.
which
So
is closer to the road. So is that what that needs to be in there, or because they're asking for the addition, shouldn't it say 23.78 on that section?
It is the 23.78.
Okay, all right, so
I
that's what,
apologize. Again, there was some confusion between the math on the plan and what was written on the plat and application.
okay, thanks for clarifying. Okay, so just to make note on the letter of denial, that needs to be reflected as to 23.78 instead of 21.98. Okay,
Wouldn't it be 23.98? Since it's a 2-foot setback from the original house?
yeah, but Lori mentioned that her numbers were correct at the beginning.
So it is the 23.76 is actually what is correct. What was written on the plat and the application does not match what the plans were that were submitted.
Okay, and Lori, you originally had on the letter 23.78.
Correct. We
Yeah.
identified that issue when we were going through the BOZA process.
Right, because that's what's on the original letter, instead of the 23.98 that's reflected on the survey.
Correct.
I want to know who's going to know the difference between 0.98 and 0.7.
Right.
I want to
I'm
know
just-
what inspector is going to figure
I
that one out.
wish I had that visual acuity.
Okay, so the letter of denial should reflect 23.78, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right, and does the zoning administrator, building commissioner have anything to add at this time? Lori, do you have anything else to add on this request?
No, other than this family has gone in and done a great job of doing upkeep on their property. They've built a garage on this. They've obviously done this other addition on, and it appears that they're doing a tremendous amount of work to improve this house. So
Okay. Okay, thanks, Lori. Yes, definitely. I've noticed differences from what the house had been before and the improvements that have been made thus far with the new concrete driveway, et cetera. And they are definitely making it a nice property. does Ronald or Jenica, do you have anything else to add at this time?
No, sir.
Okay. Board members, do you have any other questions?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
Okay.
Not here.
Okay. Okay, Peter, no other questions?
Nope.
Okay, all right. All right, before I close this hearing, if the board grants you this variance, you must start construction within 6 months. If within 6 months you fail to start construction, the building inspector can grant you a 6-month extension. If the construction is not started within 1 year from the date of granting the variance will expire. Any further extensions, therefore, will require approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals. If you are denied this variance, you have the right to challenge the board's decision in circuit court, and you must do so within 30 days from the time it is placed on file in the city clerk's office. You cannot appeal the same question for 1 year. You will be notified by mail of the decision of the board. Any questions on that, Ronald and Jenica?
No.
No, sir.
Okay. All right. The board will move into deliberation at this time, and we'll be finalizing the hearing here. At this time, no more testimony will be heard. And I hereby declare this hearing closed, the hearing part, and now we'll move into deliberation procedures. Okay, and you will be able to remain on during the deliberation to find out the results of our decision. Okay. All right. This is in an RS3 district, and the appellant is asking for a variance. The variance is based on 23.78. The variance that they're looking for is 6.22 to be approved for the construction of the new living area that they're looking for. Discussion.
Okay, if nobody else, I'd like to start. I heard you mention that there were a couple other homes that had expanded, before this thing had gone into effect. Is that right?
Dan, we're not having any more testimony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'll state my other one. In a way, I have mixed emotion on that, because I've got a married son and a daughter who live out of state. I've got my son is married and his wife can't have any kids, so they don't have any kids. I got a daughter that's married, and they have 2 kids. And I got a 3-bedroom ranch, and let me tell you, it gets crowded, but hey, we make do. That's my statement.
Okay.
So I don't mean to be like a stickler for the rules, but it seems though, we have these variances, they're set for a reason, and they're already over it in one part of the home, and they're going to do it again. What's stopping, let's say, their neighbors and everybody else's neighbors to ignore the codes, to ignore the variance? Why not just change it up completely then? We have the code set in place. Why not stick to it?
Okay, yeah, you wouldn't have, we realize that, Ronald, so, thank you on that. So right now we're in the deliberation part, so we wouldn't be hearing any additional testimony on that. But we do acknowledge definitely that that's the situation, and that was just one of the board members' opinion. We're gonna just deal with the facts, Dan. We're not a personal opinion, but we're going to just deal with the facts now. We're going to go into findings. And I think that will help us make a decision on the variance request, okay?
Randy,
Okay.
Pete would like to speak.
Okay, Pete?
All right. So as I mentioned earlier, I had a little bit of comments to make on this one. At first blush, nearly everything in the applicant's rationale to grant the variance doesn't hold any water for me. If you're very fortunate to be blessed and have a large family, you outgrow your house, you get a new house. You know, you just don't keep building and expanding and not follow the rules. So I had a hard time finding that as a special condition or exceptional circumstance. Talking about safety and welfare, how many police calls, coming in and, it'll improve public interest. I'm not even sure what that really means. So justice to be done. I mean, all of those things I couldn't find the rationale to hang the hat on as to why a variance should be granted. The one thing though, that I was looking at the criteria that we have, which is preservation of intent. And that is that if a variance is granted, it does not permit a use that isn't currently permitted. And if we grant this variance, it's zoned residential. The uses continue to be residential. So to me, what the person is asking and what their goal, what their project is, does preserve the intent of the zoning code, and that they are expanding a residential use on their property. The other one, one of the other ones is talking about absence of detriment. It says that we shouldn't be granting any variance that creates a detriment to other adjacent properties. Right now, I don't see any detriment going on in this particular fact. And it looks like, if you ask me, if you add on this addition, it looks like it actually completes the home, because it looks like almost the house was facing the wrong way on the street when it was built back in 1929. And that's probably because it was a huge farm field facing Highway 32, set back really far away from the road. I think that this addition would actually make the house look more complete. And by having that 2-foot recessed, gives the house dimension. And I know that aesthetics are not necessarily a reason to grant it, but I also feel, as what I mentioned earlier when I said staff before, interpret as if you did not make it more non-conforming, and that the fact that you made it even closer to the road than you were originally, your original building, that's an acceptable variance request to get that setback to 23.78 feet that they're asking. So the one thing I still had a hard time justifying is exceptional circumstances. The only thing, if I had to stretch for what an exceptional circumstance was, that this is nearly a 100-year-old home. And a 100-year-old home, we could probably count on a couple, I'll say 2 hands, how many, 90-year-old homes that we could find in the city of Oak Creek, and how that type of house can comply with, 2020 codes. I just don't see how such an old house could do that, but that is a stretch for exceptional circumstances. And going back to what they were saying about how it increased the value, well, we all know we can't grant the variance based on economic hardship or economic boon. It's the idea of the use. So my thought originally was no, but as I was looking at the criteria and trying to apply the criteria, that I felt that it did not have absence of detriment, and it does preserve the intent of the use of that area, and that the 2-foot setback is reasonable from the house, and I would be in support of a variance.
Okay.
This is Richard.
Okay, Richard.
Yeah, I agree with everything Peter said. And as I look at this overall, I just have a hard time coming up with a negative. I mean, we end up with a nicer looking home. It's sort of going to blend in with the rest of the homes in the neighborhood that don't have the required setbacks. And I mean, I just don't see a negative in the whole thing. So I go along with Peter. I see no reason why we shouldn't be able to grant the variance.
Okay, thanks, Richard. Thanks, Pete. You did an excellent summary of the findings there, Pete. And Richard, thanks for your input. plus by the new addition that they're planning to put on, the roof line too will line up with the garage, because the garage is much higher than the current roof line. I think it will bring it together much better. And there is no more infraction of the setback more than the original house that was built and grandfathered in. I think the points made by both Richard and by Peter, they pretty well do a good summary of the findings that we were going to go through. So I don't even know if we need to go through that any further if the other board members are in agreement.
I do think just for paperwork purposes and file purposes, we should go through each finding.
Okay. Okay.
This is
Sounds
Larry
good,
Knight.
Stephen.
See,
Okay. Larry, you agree?
yes.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. All right. We'll go through it then. Section 17.1107 findings. No variance to the provisions of this chapter shall be granted by the board unless it finds by a preponderance of the evidence that all of the following facts and conditions exist and so indicates such in the minutes of its proceedings. A, preservation of intent. No variance shall be granted that is not consistent with the purpose and intent of the regulations for the district in which the development is located. No variance shall have the effect of permitting a use in any district that is not a stated permitted use, accessory use, or conditional use in that particular district. Okay.
I would say additions to homes are permitted uses.
I agree. Everybody else agree with that?
Richard, yes.
Okay.
Dan, yes.
Dan, Larry?
yes.
Okay. All right. B, exceptional circumstances. There must be unique circumstances or conditions applying to the lot or parcel or structure that do not apply generally to other properties of uses in the same zoning classification. And the granting of the variance should not be of so general or recurrent nature as to suggest that the zoning chapter should be changed. I think
that the reason Pete used, even though he thought it was a stretch, I don't find it to be a stretch to say that the home is almost 100 years old. And if there were any codes, they are very much different from 1922. So I think that could be an exceptional circumstance.
I think so.
Yeah, I
too.
agree. Richard, we're working with a home or with a home it's that old, and we're adding an addition into it. It's doing the best to turn it into a real nice, attractive structure and an enhancement to the community. I mean, you're working with a couple preset conditions here.
Yes, I agree too, Stacy and Richard. Yes, I think that is a good reason. Because the codes, there was no codes back then that restricted it. And this is quite an old house and they're within the original building structure of the house to add that addition. So they're not infracturing on that setback any further than it was originally built. So
I'm looking at a map from 1937 and it looked like it was all farm fields going all the way to 32. And there was the farmhouse before Garden Place even existed. That house did.
Oh, okay, good, Peter. That's good that you saw, you were able to find that. Okay, all right. So that covered, we all agree on the exceptional circumstances as stated by Stacy?
This works for me.
Okay. All right, C, economic hardship and self-imposed hardship, not grounds for variance. No variance shall be granted solely on the basis of economic gain or loss. Self-imposed hardship shall not be considered as grounds for granting of a variance. And I do not see where economic or self-imposed hardship applies.
I agree.
Okay,
I agree, Richard, I agree.
I
okay.
agree.
All right, Dan. All right, Larry, Larry, I take it you agree too, because you're not saying anything on that, so I take it we're good.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
D, preservation of property rights. The variance must be necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property rights possessed by other properties in the same zoning district and same vicinity. And I think by the fact that they're trying to get full use of their property. They're trying to get full use where right now their dining room is actually, that's basically used for dining and living area, I believe was said. They're adding a living room area, which makes a lot of sense because most homes now have a living room area, and most homes probably have a dining room area as well. So I see where preservation of property rights, they have the right to add an addition on to further improve their living conditions.
Andy, can I say something?
Okay,
Yeah, for as far as preservation of property rights, the way I see it, that's what the oldest house in the area, and when the zoning came into effect, they actually lost some preservation of property rights that other houses have in the same vicinity, because their house was existing, and so now they're limited to what they can do because of the new code. So they need
Right.
this variance to preserve their property rights, preservation of their property rights.
yeah, that's an excellent point, Larry. Excellent point. Okay, I definitely agree with that. We'll move on now. Does everybody agree with that?
It works
Yes.
for me. Yep.
Okay. E, absence of detriment. No variance shall be granted that will create substantial detriment to adjacent property or that will materially impair or be contrary to the purpose and spirit of the chapter or the public interest. And I don't see anything that being proposed by Ronald and Jenica that they proposed today with their improvements to the house and adding of the addition is of any detriment to, it's actually going to enhance the property. So I see no detriment to surrounding properties.
Yeah,
Jokingly, they can complain that their assessed value is going to go up. So that's a detriment.
That's right.
Well,
That's right,
well,
Peter.
No truer words were ever spoken.
I'm sure they don't mind as long as they can get that living area for the kids and everything. So I think that'll offset that
Okay.
increase on assessment.
I was joking when I said that.
I know you were. All right, but that was a good one. All right, so now additional F, additional requirements in floodplain districts. This does not apply in this area. It's not in a floodplain. So,
Andy?
okay.
Andy,
Yes,
Andy.
Larry.
absence of detriment, it won't change the character of the neighborhood, you know?
Okay. Okay, good. All right.
Move the
So
character.
that we'll add that on there as well then, for Carrie to add on there. Okay, good point, Larry. All right, so based on what we've analyzed with the findings, we need a motion to grant or deny this variance.
Wagner will make a motion to grant the variance as requested.
Okay,
I'll
now,
second.
now wait, before we do that, because we have a full board and Pete, right now
Oh.
you're an alternate.
Oh, that's
yet.
right. I'm an alternate. Oh, I jumped the
Right.
gun. I got so excited. This was my first meeting like all year.
It's okay. It's okay. But I figured I just want to make sure we got it in the right order there. So
Hey, we love his enthusiasm.
I know. And everything that he added to this was it definitely helped with our decision tonight. So thanks for
Absolutely.
being on the call today, Pete.
Anytime.
All right. Okay, so All right, since Peter is unable to as an alternate, so Richard, are you going to be motioning then?
I'll make a motion and we grant the variance, yes.
Okay, first by Richard. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second, I'll second it.
Okay, second by Stacy. Secretary, please call roll.
Well, wait a
Odette,
minute. We need reasons that we're granting it.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I guess we should put the reasons at this time.
Didn't we go through those reasons as discussed?
Well, yeah, we
Carrie, write the motion up beautifully. We'll say, grant the variance as based on the findings.
based on the findings. Yeah, because Carrie, are you able to do that? Just based on what we had on the findings, have it
Yes.
summarized in the reason?
yes, I'll type something up and send it so you can all approve it before we,
Okay,
by email.
okay,
That
sounds
sounds
good.
perfect.
Okay?
Okay, because I think we covered it really well in the findings.
Take everything from the findings.
Okay,
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
Carrie?
you
Yes?
Carrie?
don't have to restate the finding, but maybe just make bullet points of
Yeah,
blah,
yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Yes, Larry?
I'll be waiting on it.
Oh,
okay.
That
you won't get it tonight. Let's put it that way.
That's what retired people say, Larry.
Right.
WAING. Waiting.
And Randy, don't forget to pay your electric bill next time, all right? So I can see you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that darn spell check on the computer, Larry.
Rather
Okay.
be out in my garden reading than on a computer.
Hey, Peter, were you talking to me? Because I
Yeah, I
noticed.
was talking to you. You're dark
Oh,
as can be.
oh.
It's like turn
You
on
know
the
what?
light or something
You know
over
what?
there.
Next time I'll have a light on in here. I'm sorry. I had a
I
light
get
in I have a light in the corner, but it's not
No, it's
shining.
not doing it. Here, I have my pretty dog in the background.
I
for
know
y'all.
that. I know that looks really cool. All right. All right. So we got a first by Richard and we got, did Stacy, you said you gave a second on that?
I absolutely did.
All right. So now, Secretary, please call roll. We're going to have that reason summarized by Carrie with the findings. So, Secretary, please call roll on this decision.
Odette,
Aye.
Jakubczyk,
Aye.
Henny,
Aye.
Yerke,
Aye.
Gregoric.
Aye. All right. Well, the variance is approved, Ronald and Jenica. So we're happy to be able to approve that for you today. And now we're going to be, I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I so move.
Richard, second.
Okay, first by Stacy, second by Richard. Secretary, please call roll.
Odette, Jakubczyk,
Aye.
Henny,
Aye.
Yerke,
Aye.
Gregoric.
Aye. All right, this meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for being on here today. Thanks for your participation. It helped us make a good decision for the appellant. So thank you.
My pleasure.
And thanks, Lori, for putting everything together. We really appreciate everything you did.
Thank you. Oh, you guys are great. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
next-
Yes.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, everybody,
right.
have a good night, everybody.
Take care.
Good night.
Good night.
Night. Lori,
Goodbye.
Lori, are you still there? Oh, never mind. I'll call her tomorrow.